Fuck it, we're going live.
Hey, boys and girls, we are live. How about that shit? So you were asking some questions, Immutable.
I was asking if Standing for Truth, number one, has a theory about like genetic degradation, or and number two, does he understand his own theory?
Well, he claims he does. But I think it's Jensen's and Sanford's and Tompkins and a bunch of other geologist nutcakes rolled into one. And they claim they have this model. And they're always talking about all the predictions they're making. But have you ever heard a prediction that they make?
No, I see a lot of times like they're making predictions about stuff that we already know. And they're almost seeming to kind of like trying to retrodict
right,
like their model to fit what's already like been understood or known.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about that. That's not exactly a prediction. Try to make their model fit to the fucking facts, you know, which they do quite a bit. But I don't know. I think
how's everybody? So how's everybody doing?
Hey,
all gay. We're just gay.
I mean,
we're gay.
I mean that's. Damn it! I had something for this. No, you're not gay. God damn it! Fuck you, Immutable.
We're not gay. We're not gay. We're just fabulous. I know.
We're fabulous. Anyway,
all right. Midnight. What should we call you? Midnight. What should we call you now?
I don't know. I have so many fucking names. I don't know who the fuck I am anymore.
I know that's
Beta bitch, midnight, cuckass. I don't know.
That's
what.
Beta bitch.
No, the last two, Data Bitch and Cuckass, were just shit he made up.
I prefer Midnight. I kind of like that myself. I mean, I don't know.
All right, fine. We'll table the Beta Bitch comment. Fine. Okay, you guys are just boring.
You're always going to be Midnight.
Oh, is that what you called me, a Beta Bitch? Okay, well, fine, Mr. Jill.
Midnight Beta Bitch.
Wow, where the fuck did that come from? I mean...
Well, hold on. Jill... No, hold on. Jesus is Lord always calls everyone beta bitches. Or just betas. So,
okay.
Congratulations.
Well, yeah.
So, congratulations, you're Jill.
You know, okay. I would make a reference to Chris Chan, but that unfortunately lies at that under the purview of the community.
No offense, but you're more Chris Chan than I am. You're actually diagnosed.
Oh no! No, your Twitter is about as precious as it gets. But let's get back to Standing.
Oh, I wanted to stay on Jill for 1 second.
Hang on, let me get this out.
Go ahead, Midnight. Sorry.
You've been listening to a certain person for too much. Anyways, go on, David.
What I will say is, you are the gift that keeps on giving. I will end it there.
Well, fuck off.
See, Jill. I mean, Jill says some pretty nasty things. One of the comments he just put in a side chat just today was that George Floyd deserved what he got. How nice is that, right?
I mean, Jill.
How often?
Wow.
How often does Jill give service to white people?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the man's disgusting. I mean, nobody deserves to die. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are.
Well,
I mean,
that one I kind of disagree with you on.
I can think of
sorry.
I can think of a few
But-
people that deserve to die.
I can think of a few.
Yeah, I suppose, but
Ted Bundy. I mean, it's a
Ted
short list.
Bundy,
Yeah.
Jim Jones, Charles Manson.
Short
yeah,
list.
yeah. I mean, I guess there are some, but on average, or for the most part, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
there's a kitty sneaking up on me.
uh-oh.
Does a person deserve to die because they had, a drug issue or something like that, or
Yeah.
No, I mean, I
No.
think people
Right.
deserve. I
So
think people that deserve to die are people that put, that are people that put many other people in danger, right? That, damage the welfare of others.
right.
And I think Andrew Wakefield is arguably an example of a person that should be barred off from the rest of civilization.
Yeah,
Who's Andrew?
Jill is right out. He's way out there. That's for sure.
Who's
I know-
Andrew Wakefield?
Andrew Wakefield is, well, he did have a medical license, but he is single-handedly the person who started this whole vaccines cause autism bullshit.
Oh shit, him. Okay.
Yeah, he's the person that you can single-handedly blame for bringing out misinformation and fabricating a study on the influence of vaccines that he thought that correlated with autism, and it did not. But his career has been propagating that lie.
So he basically started the whole vaccine virus thing.
Yeah,
Which is
essentially.
the amazing thing right now is I just got a call. I had some friends up north, and they have every day they have extra doses of the vaccine because they're scheduling people and they're not showing up. And other countries have shortages,
Yeah.
And I think they have to throw the vaccine away because they have to unrefrigerate it, right?
Right. Yeah. I think that's.
You have to
hold,
expose it to the outside. I mean,
how rotten is that? Jesus Christ! It's like I don't know.
I mean, I don't blame people that are skeptical of like certain things. Like I was skeptical of taking the vaccine. I don't think that's an issue.
Until you read about it.
I mean, I think the issue comes about when you say, for instance, like, "Oh, I don't know about it." Like nobody knows enough about it, and so for that reason, like people just shouldn't take it. I'm going to like actively bar people from taking this vaccine and go out of my way to make sure that my view becomes the dominant view.
Yeah,
that's the thing that it irks me.
So Speed, I try to be as fast as I can, but I'm too late to start a fight.
No, let's get back to standing. This is taking a really dark road.
Well, I want to get back to something that all of you said just now about people deserving to die.
Yeah,
to die.
I would strongly disagree with anyone who says that a death penalty is a good thing.
Oh, I think in some cases it most certainly is.
And I've got the science to back it up. First of all, if you give someone the death penalty, they're not getting any penalty.
Right.
They're because so what would you experience when you're dead?
What makes you think that people?
Well,
sometimes...
no, hold on. Like I get what you're saying, right? It's a good point. I guess it should be called.
It's a suspension of a penalty.
Well, yeah,
no,
it's hold
yes.
on. Yeah, hold on. It's kind, you're right. It's
so let me
right.
hold on, Tanya. I'll get back to you. Let me. So I'm from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
We've got a tiny problem here, and that is that we lack criminality because of the way we handle things. So we find ourselves in a spot where we have to rent out our prisons to other countries in order to fill them up, because the way the whole prison system and the whole justice system is working here has led to a decrease in crime. So
well, that's a good thing. I mean,
yes, and we don't have the death penalty, not even for the most heinous murders. The biggest punishment you can get here is life. There are several varieties of that. So you can get life imprisonment, which is hardly ever a verdict. The other one is that you become the property of the state, which means that you will be confined into some kind of mental facility where they will be working on you, and you will be checked every once in a while whether or not it's safe
Cool,
for you
Leo.
to go back into society.
I don't object to those things. I mean, I still think that the death penalty is an appropriate course of action for certain events.
Who's benefiting? Who's benefiting?
Whoa.
Who's benefiting?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we talking state sanctioned killing, death penalty?
Death by lethal injection,
But by the state.
electric shock.
By
I
the
mean,
state.
I didn't get my.
Wait, no, I'm asking immutable.
Yes.
By the state, correct? Okay.
For fuck's sake.
Definitely not. Why should the state have that much power?
Yes.
Why should the state have that much power? Because the purpose of the state is to protect the people that preside within the state.
Anyway,
we should slowly reduce the size of the state.
Whoa,
Okay.
boys and girls.
Okay.
Wait,
And how many people have gotten the death penalty and later turned out to be innocent? Is that collateral damage, or how do we deal
good
with
point.
that?
That's
How
what
do you-
bothers me the most about it. That
But
reparations.
that all alludes back to the point that I'm getting at. That when we delegate the state the power to choose which criminals shall live and shall die, that system is twisted to the benefit of the state. We've seen that here in the United States, as both Peter and David had pointed out, as it was used against especially African Americans, amongst other minority demographics. I don't believe the state should be delegated that power. That's not to say that I don't think that there are crimes that personally I think are worthy of death. It's that I don't think the state should be delegated the power to make the decision as to whether that person lives or dies.
Well,
And
I
personally,
don't think.
And
I
and
don't-
here's
Hey,
the-
I'm trying
and
to get
here's
a
the
word
thing.
in
I
edgewise.
didn't finish.
Jesus, hell.
I didn't finish. The final statement I was
Yeah,
going
you're
to make.
finished. Everybody's
don't-
finished. Everybody's finished. Okay, you're finished. I don't want to talk about
I
this.
don't want the state to have that much power.
Okay, I don't want this to be the conversation.
Okay,
so.
can I please respond to that?
It's a good
No, I don't
conversation,
want you to respond.
I have,
Andrew,
like-
Andrew had something he wanted to show. And
Look,
no, we're not
why
going to talk about the fucking
why
death
are-
penalty
Why
for
are
an
you
hour.
interrupting a
For like-
healthy conversation?
Leo was talking for
Jesus
like 5
Christ.
minutes. Can I get 2 minutes, please?
No, you get one.
Okay, can I get 1 minute?
Give him fucking
1
2
minute.
minutes. Come on now.
No, he's getting one.
He's got two. He's
Then
got
we're
two.
going to end this fucking conversation because I don't give a shit. Okay.
Are you gonna keep
Speed,
objecting, or can I
Speed,
talk?
after
Jesus fucking
immutable,
Christ.
can I get one sentence? Just one.
Nope.
One sentence. Tiny one.
I know.
How about okay, can you pare it down to a phrase? So Immutable's got 1 minute, so you have 1 minute to
Two.
pare it down to just a phrase.
Okay, so while I'm sympathetic towards like what Leo is saying, I don't think the imperfect nature of justice and the authorities to uphold justice is a reason for barring that particular punishment from existing. I mean, while I agree that the point that like people choosing, essentially playing God and choosing who should and should not die, shouldn't take away from the fact that there are certain people demonstrably who are better off dead, and provinces that are afflicted by that criminal otherwise being alive and potentially able to cause damage, their quality of life improved by virtue of that person not existing.
Timer's up.
Or just
I,
being killed.
I got a great solution for all of this.
Your phrase.
You can have your death penalty, and if it turns out that you just killed an innocent person, everyone involved in getting that person the death
Also
penalty
gets the death penalty.
will
Gets the death
get the
penalty.
death penalty. Guess
I-
what? Solved within a
There we
couple
go.
of
Yeah.
weeks.
That's
No,
fair.
I mean, the thing is, no agency that commits that judges people claims to be perfect, right?
No, but they
Like
if you end an innocent
Really,
life,
dude?
if you end
Really?
an innocent life, you have committed murder.
God,
So
you are such a dick, dude. You are
That's-
such a fucking dick.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but the thing is,
Yes, you,
what
Speed.
we're operating on, right? It's a science. We're operating on the best possible.
It's not
on
a
the- on what
science.
the-
It's a barbaric method.
No, the judgment that people. Hold on. Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ.
The barbaric
Did
method that sane countries have long since abolished.
Didn't I fucking say that we're not going to talk
Yeah.
about this?
Andrew.
We're done.
Andrew.
I'm done.
Jesus Christ.
Andrew.
Huh.
The method
I
people
started.
use.
I started it. Speed. I'll
Andrew.
end
That's
it for
right,
you.
Peter.
We're done. We're done.
No, stop it.
Andrew.
I think it was my
Andrew.
fault.
Andrew.
I made
Andrew.
one comment.
Andrew.
Yes.
Andrew. Go ahead.
Andrew's away, so I'll continue. Where
No, he's not away.
What?
Let's talk about
Take
standing.
us-
That's a lot more
take us
annoying than talking about
down.
the death penalty.
Right.
Path we are.
I
meant
will
to go down,
take-
Andrew.
I will take a stance on the death
Sorry,
penalty.
standing.
Be the Jesus to our Christianity.
So, Andrew, you have you had a slide presentation that you wanted to give us?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I want to do it now.
Oh, you want to
Yeah,
do it
That
because
was a joke. Oh my
Yes,
god.
you do.
Come on.
because
I
we
would
are
like to hear
leaving this fucking topic behind.
Me,
And
I
because I
mean-
would like to hear it, you are going to share it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will only share it if Speed and everyone else here is, if you guys actually want to, I guess.
Yes.
Listen
Yes.
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get
Oh.
it done with.
Speed. If there's any hesitation, let me share something in between. I'll be.
Does
more
it have
than happy.
anything to do with the fucking death penalty?
Nope. Just
Okay.
it's just funny. Just share it.
All
Oh
right,
my
I'm
god.
gonna-
Who the fuck is that?
Dorothy
It's
Dodson.
Dorothy Dawkins.
That's what the guy looks like.
No, he's a lot uglier.
it's him. I took this from one of his streams. So
Is that him?
this is the guy known as Evolution False,
Oh,
Duncan Atheism, Dawkins.
So, you're not
This
answering
don't-
the question.
no, is that really what he looks like?
Yes,
That's-
the face
yes.
of the person.
That's him.
Danny can confirm.
I took this from one of his earlier conversations where he still used his own face as his profile picture.
who is
Those are
this?
still available
Is
online.
that what Darth
so-
Dawkins looks like?
This is Darth Dawkins. His photo is actually
that-
publicly available too under the
Yeah.
under one of
That's
his.
the guy that he describes himself as. There's a picture. That picture. I forgot. That's the name of some celebrity that he says that he looks like.
Nope.
I don't know. I thought I saw a picture of him once, and he was a lot douchier looking. Well, this guy looks pretty douchey, but
This also looks like the photo he uses when he uses his other account, Evolution False.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think that's actually him.
That's where I got the picture. So
I heard the same thing you did, Danny.
Yeah.
I believe that you possibly could be right. He has said that himself, that picture resembles him. I believe. So I couldn't say for sure, but I've heard the same as what you heard, Danny.
let's say there are people who have checked it with his back then family. So if they're wrong, then
Okay,
everyone's
What-
wrong.
what is Andrews or rational empiricists' takedown argument for more of standing stupidity?
We're waiting
Which
for
at this point,
waiting for a slide share there, Andrew.
All right.
and at this point in time, I'm going to need a counter argument to the idea that stupidity should be considered a crime.
In your case,
Pretty good counter argument to that, actually.
is crime.
What the fuck, dude? That's not what I.
What did you say, Speed? You want to say that louder?
I said, in your case, is crime.
My
It's a crime.
stupidity?
You're criminally. You have committed
Yeah.
criminal acts
Your view on scientism arguably
against me.
is worthy of
Dude,
is
somebody's trying
arguably
to-
worthy of the death sentence.
Somebody's trying to push Danny over for get booted status tonight, aren't they?
I'm just saying. If we're gonna talk about hardcore stupidity, if we're gonna talk about concentrated
Get
on,
booted status tonight.
Yeah.
if we're gonna talk about some
Wow, that's such a dick move. Such
Yeah,
a dick
that's a
move.
dick move. I know.
If there's ever such a thing as concentrated autism, it is scientism.
Well, it's not concentrated autism because I'm not a scientismist, and I have autism.
No,
It might be
although
concentrated. It might be concentrated dumb.
it is
Okay.
concentrated dumb. I'm just using the colloquial.
That's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot, Danny. That's pretty hot. I think it's missing a ball gag.
Pretty hot.
I specifically made that for Leo. I think that was
What?
one of Leo's requests. Seeing Danny in a Leo asked whether or
Why
not
would
he's
you
been in
show
a harness.
that? Why would you
Oh, well,
show that?
I did ask Danny if he's ever been put in a harness. I remember that.
Why did I show that? Because I always take credit for the mischievous things that I do.
Leo, what the fuck are you doing?
The hell is that?
Okay, so we're always giving Andrew shit for going on these shitty streams, and this is a shitty stream.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, we have a
He's
monarch
really
for a
second
stream
guessing.
leader. Well, let's see. We have a monarch for a person who hosts the stream who believes scientism is.
They were having a good discussion about the death penalty. I don't know why that.
Well, I guess.
Oh
actually,
shit!
Leo, I hate you at times.
What?
Okay, now,
are you saying, Tanya, you didn't take a screenshot and save that for your own personal collection?
We did.
Danny-
That's what I'm saying.
Danny, I agree with you that the conversation we had earlier was a good one. I think it should be had more often.
But why is it white? Like, that sounded bad.
That's what I was-
Because
Why?
that's what I was
everybody
about
needs
to
to
say.
shut the fuck up and let Andrew talk about what he wants to talk about.
Why
okay?
is the screen being
Now.
racist?
Now?
Everybody
Why-
shut the fuck up.
Why is the screen racist?
Everybody shut the fuck up. Go ahead,
Shut
Andrew.
the fuck
Why,
up.
why is,
Go ahead,
why
go
is the
ahead.
screen racist? Because I was too lazy to give it a color. I'm sorry.
Is that what God said about colored people or about white people?
Oof, I let myself into that, didn't I? Oh, man.
Well, there
I'm
was darkness
sorry.
before there was light, so that might have some interesting underpinnings for Christians.
Oh, wow. You're gonna mute me for that, you fucking bitch.
I think the
I'm
YouTube
gonna
Nazis
boot
are going
you.
to be after us soon.
Leo, honestly, you should not come on stream when you're drunk because you're
I'm
obviously
not
drunk.
No, I'm not.
Andrew, what's up?
What happened to the StreamYard?
Go.
Why is everything white now?
Because
Go.
you're
It's
full
the
screen.
natural. It's the
Oh,
natural color
okay.
of the world.
Who's
You're full screen.
imperialism?
Okay, all right. So this presentation is gonna be my attempt, probably a poor attempt, but my attempt to debunk one of SFT's claims that we've talked about before, but for some reason, he's always had, let's just say, a retrofit back into the data for the conversation. So the question I want to ask is, can cars be placed into a phylogenetic tree? So you probably all saw this coming. So can cars be placed into a phylogenetic tree? And the answer is yes.
Did you do it?
However, they would not be placed in the way that SFT typically imagines it, in the way that Nathaniel Jensen also imagines it. For example, manufacturers of cars and other designed items, they kind of reuse parts and modify existing parts, not just based on purpose, but also based on material constraints and available materials that they have at hand, and kind of based on just the history of the item. So in other words, car manufacturers tend to, but not always, create new cars in a very simplistic kind of descent with modification process of shared, I want to say genealogical, but kind of a shared evolutionary history, basically, if we want to call it that. And of course, there is some overlap, since car manufacturers kind of copy and paste, for lack of a better word, between car designs and car manufacturer brands, basically. But overall, humans, and including car manufacturers, are not very creative in the design process. Kind of just like evolutionary changes, you often hear the saying, evolution is a tinkerer. Well, this is kind of the same thing. Humans, we're not very creative in coming up with new things. So this, what I'm going to depict here, is a car phylogeny, according to probably the logic that SFT would commonly use. And if you look closely, you can kind of see that the most similar cars are placed closest to each other. And so it's based on overall similarity. So you have trucks, you have...
Doesn't work. You got different species on there.
Right.
You've got Acura, you got Nissan, you got Toyota, you got Ford, you got
but they're kind of supposed to be.
You got all the species mixed up.
Yeah,
Right.
and you told me earlier that cars can't reproduce, but cars can crash with each other, and that's about the closest we're going to get.
If that's anywhere near the truth, I own a Ford Mustang and a Mercury Cougar, so what would I get if I have those two copulate and produce offspring? What would I get?
I'm just going to leave this here as a disclaimer. If I ever see a car reproduce and give birth to a baby car, I will officially become a theist.
Well, Mercury were actually Thunderbirds for a long time.
You guys have to remember, I've never seen a car ever give birth to anything that's not a car.
So now I'm curious. If I crossbreed a Ford and a Mercury, would I be able to get a Lincoln?
That's a difficult one. That's difficult.
If you want to get a Lincoln, you need a little bit of Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
There we go.
Andrew, proceed.
Need some human assistance getting that type of action to occur. Need a catalyst of sorts.
Well, one thing as a car enthusiast, you'll never be able to breed a Ford Mustang with a Chevy Camaro as it looks, because they're enemies. One's going to eat the other.
You know, Icarus, that's a very good question. That might be the exception to the rule. Two Transformers might be able to have sex and give birth to a baby car, so that might be an exception.
What's the question? I can't see the screen.
All right, guys. I'll be right
Icarus,
back.
Icarus asked the question.
In a second. I love you all very much.
Yeah, Icarus asked the question: if two Transformer cars have sex, do they get Transformer baby cars?
Never mind that. Korag said, "My Chrysler Sebring has his mother's eyes."
Wow.
Okay.
That is kind of unique.
So,
go ahead, Andrew. No, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was just saying. So we have the cars. We have these otter-looking cars. I'm not a car expert, so I just kind of base them how I think SFT would kind of classify them based on their overall similarities and differences. Yep. So this is my take on the car phylogeny according to SFT's logic. And here is my take on... Huh? Say that again?
It looked like created kinds, really, when you look at it, right? It was an orchard model almost.
And you don't even have different species. You've got a completely different clade in there as well. A Honda motorcycle. That's an entirely different clade.
Right. And so here now I'm going to depict my take on the best we could do with a car phylogeny according to actual phylogenetic principles. And there we go. So this is my take on how we would classify cars based on phylogenetic principles. It's still imperfect, and it's always going to be imperfect.
Right.
But I think this is much more accurate than SFT's depiction of it. And you can see, for instance, that if you base them on their actual history, in this case, what you might call their history of change and modification, you can see that the Honda motorcycle in this case would be much more related, I guess, would be classified with other Honda vehicles. You get Chevrolet with each other, and you get Toyota, etc., because manufacturers, they do borrow design, so there's going to be some, I guess, horizontal transfer. But they're going to base it off previous designs with some horizontal modifications, basically.
Yeah, but what you also didn't get right was the timeline. So the Ford Mustang was definitely the oldest car in that lineup, but it was somewhere in the middle, which is
Right. Well, Cladis in this case, we're just focusing on Cladis 6 without a time axis, or not without a time axis, without a relative time scale, basically. So we can also ask the question: are car phylogenies the same as living phylogenies? Of course, we have a bit of yes and a bit of no. So the answer is yes, but also no. Car phylogenies can be made using phylogenetic principles, but they are still highly subjective and not nearly as statistically congruent as living or phylogenies of living organisms. That's blatantly obvious based on all the studies that have been made. However, either way, phylogenies of cars are much more indicative of an kind of evolutionary history kind of process of change over time, and not a common design plan from scratch. So kind of de novo design, basically. So that means that car phylogenies cannot be used as an analogy for common design, because they can just as easily be explained in terms of a kind of evolutionary history, basically.
Yeah.
Can I chime in on that? Because if that is the case, what a car phylogeny represents is artificial selection, not evolutionary in any way, shape, or form, because it is artificially selected for by an intelligent designer, just like dogs, for instance.
Right, but even when things are artificially selected for, they're still under evolutionary pressures. Because evolutionary pressures just tell all evolutionary pressures do with a system.
I would agree, but I do make the distinction whether or not an intelligent designer is involved, and an intelligent designer is only involved in artificial selection.
Well,
Right. Well, I guess
I think that addresses a different. I think that addresses a different kind of issue, and perhaps a conversation we can get into about the difference between teleology and teleonomy. Like how it is, like when we make inferences about design, like that cars are designed or that a skyscraper or a house is designed, how it is we've come to know that process, right? And how we can tell if something does in fact, right, was designed, or if it is the product of like natural forces acting on it. Because it could well be the case that some things are designed, but there has to be a way in which you know that.
I still have a problem with using the word evolution in even in this analogy. It's not evolution, it is an improvement on a previous design, which is not evolution. That's distinct.
Well, could you say something? Wait a sec, though. Could you say that something has been designed through evolution or through evolutionary principles? I mean, we do that to some extent, like with artificial intelligence and like with systems that operate, based upon neural networks.
What I think is all you're doing is muddying the waters, because you're opening up the floodgates for the creationists to jump in and to say, "Oh, look, see, they agree, it's evolution, so it's the same." I had the same argument with a guy called Donald Kronos, who debated Kent Hovind, and thought that he had won the debate, when in fact he folded in his opening statement by saying all evolution is evolution. So the evolution of pens is evolution. The evolution of cars is evolution. This is literally what Hovind says, and Hovind wasn't even smart enough to pick up on that. So that was weird kind of a debate.
What I take evolution to be is a process. I mean, it's a mechanistic process that acts upon traits. And to me, I don't differentiate between a designer, right? A designer who's created like some set of organisms and something which is actually natural, and evolution acting on those things.
It depends on how you use the word evolution. And if you're going to conflate the scientific term of the theory of evolution with something getting better over time, then you're doing it wrong.
Well, I mean, even if we're
evolution, you can't say that canyons evolve over time. They don't.
No, right. I mean,
they get deeper and deeper, but they don't evolve. Evolution.
Okay, but can we let Andrew finish before we start?
Okay. Yeah.
Getting deeper.
This is one of my pet peeves, so I'll go off on a tangent if you don't stop me.
Andrew, when you get close to the end. When you get close to the end, could you let me know? Because I'd like to try to make a prediction.
Okay. Yeah. I'm almost finished.
A prediction or a prophecy?
Let him talk.
So the last point on this slide was just the reason why these nested hierarchies display evolution. Why the phylogenies display evolution is because the only way we know of, the only process we know of that can generate such patterns, i.e. the nested hierarchy, both in living things and subjectively in cars, is through a historical iterative process of modification over time, which of course I admit is not the same, like Peter pointed out. But what I'm saying is that you can apply the methods to both of them, like not equally, but you can apply them to both of them because there's a history of modification there. There's a history of shared traits, basically, if you want to call it that. And that's not what we would expect for a common designer. So in that case, cars are actually the opposite of a supernatural design, or whatever we want to call it, creation, because they don't come from the same designer, and designers aren't very creative. Like I said before, they borrow and such, so it's not a perfect phylogeny, but it does more indicate, okay, they're kind of reusing parts and kind of changing them based on what's the current situation. So that's more like evolution, basically. They're not starting from scratch with each car over and over again.
Yeah, but and every now and then for cars, they do come up with some crazy ass thing. Like that 3-wheel car that what the hell was the name of it? That the HBO documentary was on.
Right, and that's one reason, like I said, why the phylogeny of cars is not a real phylogeny in a sense.
Right.
But so this is my last slide. So in conclusion, standing for truth, please come up with a better new analogy, and I'll be waiting until then. And yeah, so like I said, I put this together really quickly, but just sharing some of my thoughts on this and based on some new information.
I love the conclusion.
Yeah, so do I. I mean,
the conclusion is perfect.
Well, my conclusion or my prediction was that, I will probably infer that SFT is a dipshit, and he probably always will be. So that would be my conclusion.
I'm still wondering. I mean, if Peter wants to continue our conversation and argue about that, that's fine.
Hey, you guys can go ahead and do that while I go get some raccoon food, and I'll be back shortly.
Wait, hold on. Speed. Before you go, what do you want? This coming Wednesday, me and Steven Sider and Port are having another debate on MDB. Do you want me to mention something about you debating Sal?
Yes.
Okay.
On eukaryotic evolution. Yeah.
Yep. I will mention something to him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go feed your coons.
I'm going to feed coons. You guys get started. I'll be back shortly, and I'll try to catch up.
Go feed those damn dirty coons.
I think what we need to do is every single time they come up with an analogy between living organisms and man-made things, that we should point out that it's a bad analogy.
I mean, it depends on how the system is progressing, right?
It only depends on how vague you want to make the thing that is making the system progress.
I mean, evolution.
If you're going to say it is a change over time, then the word evolution becomes meaningless.
No, I mean, what I'll say is part of evolution is change over time, right? But like you're saying, that's not specific enough to refer to the type of evolution.
Because it's only part of it.
Right, exactly. But even so,
I would even dispute that it is change over time. It's a change in allele frequencies in a population over time.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have populations of cars. We don't have populations of motorbikes. Doesn't happen.
I mean, you can make a more general theory like that uses evolutionary algorithms, though. Like I was referencing with AI.
Problem. Why would you?
Why would you? Because it's evolution itself. Because evolution.
What they're trying to debunk is the theory of evolution. So why would you open up the definition for them to be able to attack it when the definition is specific to that theory? There is a definition. There's a reason for it that there is a definition. If you're going to open it up, you can just say there's a difference between parents and offspring. Great.
Well,
then me and you have a difference of understanding as it comes to evolution.
Yeah, but I think
how do we have a different understanding?
My understanding is that evolution itself, right? The particulars concerning biological evolution, right? I mean, how organisms produce and things like that. Yes, those are specific to biology. I'm not going to deny that. But
that is what they're attacking. And if you stick to the correct definition, which is a change in allele frequency in populations over time, then you can have them come up with arguments that fit within that definition. Cars do not fit within that definition because we don't have populations of cars. Cars don't have alleles.
Right.
So
what I'm saying,
it's a bad
though,
analogy.
Right. What I'm saying is that the general statistical theory that evolution is characterized under can be applied to other systems which are not biological. And you can allow.
But here's my problem. You and I both will know what we're talking about.
Sure.
9 out of 10 theists who are on the fence whether or not evolution is real have no clue what they're talking about. And they will just listen to the arguments, will think that they're correct, based on an analogy that is abysmal, that doesn't even fit the definition of evolution, and they will be swayed by the theist arguments. And that is what I think we need to prevent. If you want to educate people, then educate people. Don't open up the floodgates for people to get misinformed. And that's why I'm vehemently against all kinds of stupid analogies that don't fit. Cars don't reproduce, so it's a bad analogy.
I think there's some analogies that are deliberately constructed to be poor strawmen.
Cars is one of them.
I agree, but while I agree, I do think that you can simplify a theory, like that you can come up with an analogy, like the evolution of language, which is something simpler for humans to understand. Right,
which would be a better analogy from the get-go, because that's kind of organic as well. It happens within living organisms, so that would already be a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
if you're going to go with things that are created by people, that is not how evolution works. Not at all.
I mean, except for like the evolution of language is directly influenced by the same laws that undermine biological evolution. The same general rules apply to it.
Say that again?
The same general rules that are used to characterize biological evolution can be applied in turn to the language of evolution.
The evolution of language.
Yeah.
As I said, that's a better analogy because that happens within a living organism.
Right. I mean, the thing is,
And
though,
no
it
one,
doesn't.
no one is creating language.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think people, like even historically, we've seen people create new languages, and we understand why new languages are formed.
Yeah, and how many of those are being used?
Well, I mean, they're constantly being used and destroyed. I mean, relatively quickly. I mean, languages and dialects from like Slavic regions are relatively new. Like with
if I may say something, so in that case, I think the word creation is kind of blurry because in the evolution of language, to my understanding, happens by people talking a specific language, and sometimes the words get mismatched or changed slightly, and those changes accumulate over time. So I wouldn't say that's creation in the usual sense, but it is evolutionary creation. And I think maybe a similar process could apply to like engineers designing cars, for instance.
Well,
there's a case to be made for vestigial organs. You could say that the word gay is somewhat of a vestigial organ. It used to have a meaning, and now it's got a different meaning. Same thing happens with organs in human beings. That they used to have a function, now they've got a different function.
Well, I mean, in that case, words are also vestigial because, I mean, words have different connotations and meanings based upon how they're grouped with other terms.
Exactly.
And
words don't have meanings; they've got usages.
Yeah, precisely.
And the meaning of a word is attached to the word after the usage has changed.
Right, precisely. I mean, I think, like to Andrew's point, you actually made a good point. Language is most certainly a human construction, but even though it's something humans have created, it's something that's capable of evolving. Like that, there's certain times where a new language has been formed, like Latin, but that language gets less used over time, and different provinces begin to vary that language in specific ways, and descendants that are specific to particular regions kind of inherit that dialectic of the original language and refine it and create new rules for that language to operate under, effectively creating a new language.
It's affected by population dynamics.
Right, exactly. And it's also governed by kind of like what you might call some kind of linguistic inheritance, right? The people that develop these languages have rules for constructing sentences that make sense, and rules for constructing like proper sentences in their languages. And those rules are also, to some extent modified and inherited by people who use and participate within, that participate using language to communicate with other people.
Is kind of analogous to natural selection for living populations.
Right, exactly.
Yes, it's also based on whether or not it's beneficial to the environment. So the word "cool" just had a meaning referring to a certain temperature. It's now used for something completely different, and that is because the environment picked it up and propagated it, and that's why that word is still used in a completely different way than its original meaning ever was.
Well, but sometimes languages go extinct for other reasons entirely. Sometimes it's the case that there's a language that might be very efficient. In fact, it might be more efficient than any other language within a nearby province. But the type of language that they're using gets eradicated because the people who practice that dialectic or that have developed that language go extinct.
Yeah.
By war or something like that.
Yeah, and I still would see that as a better analogy.
Yeah. I think it's a simpler.
Oh, go ahead.
I think at the very least, it's a very simple analogy to have people kind of understand as kind of a proxy for evolution or biological evolution by natural selection.
Right. Yeah. I guess my original point in the presentation was I was trying to point out that I don't think cars evolve. I think that's nonsense. But I think that if you were to say, okay, are these car patterns, I guess you want to say, of nested groups within groups that you can make, are those more indicative of some kind of process analogous to evolution, or some process analogous to separate ancestry and design, for instance? And I think in that case, it's much more analogous to evolution, even though it's still an imperfect analogy.
There are some things like the availability of existing materials and things like that are similar, and it helps to make a comparison. For one thing, if you were to do a real detailed analysis of the phylogeny of cars, you would end up understanding how much it is a created model. That basically, I think you can see the difference between a created model, something that's created without certain constraints, whereas evolution is pretty much constrained to what was there before, because everything in it, because cars are not made from you don't make your new car from your old car. That just isn't what happens. You don't breed cars. That isn't the way it's done. So I think if you did a really detailed analysis of phylogeny, it would become very clear why the analogy fails so badly. But there are things
that was my other. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, earlier today, there was a tweet here in Holland. I'm a race fan, and so people are working on a new kind of race car that's powered by hydrogen. That's also something that wouldn't happen in nature if one of the essential things for, let's say, cars is running out, which is fossil fuel. The intelligence steps in and finds a different way to fuel their cars. That doesn't happen in nature. There's no intelligent designer that would come up with food for an animal in order to make it survive. So
I don't know about that, actually. I would say that there's something analogous that happens with biological systems.
You're saying in nature there's an intelligent designer that will come up with a new kind of food if a food runs out for a particular species?
No, because I don't think nature has like a sense of directionality, but nature does like.
That was my point. That was my point, making the difference between cars and nature. That in the case of cars, the intelligent designer comes up with a new fuel for the car or a new source material to make cars out of. That is the intelligent designer designing a change. So after World War II, for instance, in the eastern part of Germany, that was communist. They had no steel, so they made cars out of cotton, out of the waste product of cotton. That wouldn't happen in nature. If you don't have the metal to make cars, the cars would go extinct.
So I mean, are we describing like the distinction based upon intention or not?
Based on the input of an intelligent designer who can bring in completely new things. That doesn't happen in nature. There's no intelligent designer that can save a species by introducing something completely new.
Intention is pretty much bullshit. So
yes.
What do you mean intention is bullshit?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
What do you? I need you to elaborate on that.
Elaborate on bullshit.
Yes, I need to understand why that's the case.
With intention, you're grouping together a whole a whole bundle of behaviors of organisms and calling it one thing and trying to distill some weird fucking philosophical concept that ends up tripping you up in a number of other areas, like gods existing and things like that. Intention is something.
What?
The abstraction
Where
of
the fuck did that
intention
come from?
is bullshit.
I don't see how.
Basically, you're making, every time you use the word intention, you're making a religious argument.
How?
Okay?
No,
I mean,
you're
You don't
not.
need to
it's-
talk about
no, you're
intention.
not.
What you
No,
want
when
to
you're
talk
talking
no,
about-
what you
No,
want to
you're
talk
not.
about is what you want to talk about is organisms and what they do. Okay, there is no fucking intention. There is
No,
no
but
such thing.
when you
as
talk about intentions, you're speaking in terms of desires. So it's important to talk about things in terms.
yeah,
of
if you want to be full of
Yeah.
shit, you can speak in
No,
terms of-
no, no.
We can
this
throw in something that Hovind says. Racehorses have become very, very fast, and they've gained a few seconds compared to racehorses 50 years ago. Why didn't they grow wings? Because there's no
that's-
desire to grow wings.
Well, no,
Right.
it's not. It's
Of course.
and part of it's phylogeny as well, but that's
Well, it's also because they lack the necessary precursor muscles and skeletal bones
Yeah.
and such for growing.
Yeah, an animal that has the capability of having 4 limbs won't grow 2 additional limbs just at a whim because it
Right.
wants to.
Now, the distinction is that doesn't prohibit one pair of limbs from becoming wings, but
right. Exactly.
they're probably not going to grow entirely new set of limbs for
No.
wings.
As much as a tail would be handy for carrying groceries, people can want whatever they want. They're not going to grow a tail to help them carry the groceries.
Well, people do have a tail. It's just a very small tail.
Yeah.
Somebody playing a game? What's going on?
I'm renaming papers.
Why is it that whenever people bring in like very like small philosophical terms, you just lose your fucking mind?
Stephanie-
Because you're full of shit when you do it. You don't know what the hell you're
How
talking
am
about.
I
You gotta-
full of shit?
That's a
You're
bullshit.
just full of shit.
That's a
I mean, if
rather
you're full
bold
of
claim.
shit, you're full of
How?
shit, right? Okay,
I
if you
mean,
want
that's
to,
a claim.
So,
That
I
is
mean,
the
you're
claim
coming up
making.
with this fucking blanket term, intention,
That's
and
not
you
a
start
blanket
talking
term.
about
not
intention
a
like
blanket-
it's something in the universe. It's not.
It is. It
Hold
is.
on, hold
No,
on.
it
People
is.
not have
make-
intentions.
Hold on.
Th-
I want to make a
there are
comment. I want to
senses
make a
in which
comment
we can
regarding
talk
the
about
side
things
chat.
and
Stephanie
intentions.
Tretton says, choose thick bones instead. Stephanie, go to Germany. There's a family in Germany that has developed some kind of unbreakable bone. So,
I thought they were in. There's a family in Arizona that has those too. I
it's
believe
entirely possible. It's
Yeah.
entirely possible.
it's happened a couple of different times.
What,
Oh my
what are
God.
we talking about
It's a
now?
ton of
Intentions are
notes.
bullshit. Something speed doesn't like
Well,
metaphysics
no,
and
what I was trying to say is that what I
You're
don't
talking like a sausage.
what I don't think Speed understands is that there are senses in which we construe things in terms of intentions, in terms of desires. So to say that intention is just some meaningless blanket statement is just not true.
You okay there?
Yeah, I'm fine. Doing just fine.
Man, I'm good. Just give me another hit.
I didn't know you had the
Mel.
same Leo. I didn't know you had the same map on your toilet as well. I didn't
Map
know.
on my toilet.
So-
What are you talking about?
so speed. Am I of the impression that when I talk about like things in science, I shouldn't mention the word desire or intention?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Well, I can agree with that.
In science, you can mention that. In evolution, you cannot.
Well, I mean, yeah, when we talk
You can
about
have-
things,
You can have all the desire you want in evolution, but it's not going to help you.
And I think you can talk about it in terms of like certain. Well, I would say you can talk about it even in physics.
Nothing in evolution ever changed because of a specific organism having the desire to do something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Mm,
I don't know if it's completely nonsensical to talk about like intentions or desires within
it's
like
not.
the context.
Wait, in the context of what?
Like in the context of science.
Well, yeah,
Wait,
if you want to talk about the science of intention, then that's a different thing. That's going to be a pretty fucking long conversation. It's not going to be throw out the word intention and think you've said something.
We can't use the philosophical notion of intention in science.
No, you can't. No, it's
why
bullshit.
not?
Because it's not fleshed out. How do you support it?
What do we
support it?
What do we
And
mean
it
when we say
depends.
use
It depends
philosophical
on where
notion?
in science you're going to use it. If you're going to use intention within the theory of evolution, it's useless because it doesn't apply there anywhere. Not at all.
What do we mean when we say use the philosophical notion of intention in the realm of science?
I mean, like you were saying, like an intention is essentially a desire, right? Like as far as philosophy is concerned.
Where does that apply within the theory of evolution?
I think you can apply it to physics, like principle of least action.
I don't think that has anything to do with intentions.
Oh my god!
No, but I mean, you place a particle when it has multiple quote unquote choices or different routes it can take to, reach an energy state, and it tends to almost always choose the lowest energy, like the quickest route to get there, or the route that results in the lowest possible energy.
The moment you say you place, you've got an intelligent designer in there who has the intention. The particle that you place does not have the intention.
Well, I mean, the particle most certainly has the desire. Well, I would say a desired state that it wants to be in.
I wouldn't say the state is desired.
Okay, you better explain that one.
Yeah, I want to. So where is a particle's mind located at?
Oh, it's not a mind. It's second law of thermodynamics.
But
it wants to be in the lowest energy possible state.
In order to have a desire, you first need to have a mind to form that particular desire.
I'm
okay. Just very confused here.
Okay, I thought a desire was just a state that, like a particular state that something wants to be in.
I have a rock in front of me. So if that rock has a desire, where could I find that particular? Oh shit! Now it's going to go wrong.
I mean,
hey, Otangelo.
A desire. I just want to say,
just kidding.
At least as I understand it in philosophy, a desire is generally a particular state of mind, I think.
Exactly.
Let's see. Desire, according
state
to
of mind gives a reason. Is that what it is? State of mind that gives a reason for something.
To desire is to be in a particular state of mind. It is a state of mind familiar to everyone who has ever. Okay.
Okay. So that would then mean that your particle has to have a mind in order to have a desire.
Hi guys.
Perfect.
Howdy.
Perfect.
Well, apparently there is such a thing as desires for objects and desires for states of affairs.
I want to see an object that has a desire. Just one.
Yep.
Let's see. According to most theories, desires are always desires for conceivable states of affairs. The desire.
I can't believe you guys haven't drawn Danny back into this. This is right
Danny,
up his alley.
Danny, we need to, because apparently there is a Stanford Encyclopedia article on this very thing.
What's it talking about?
Of course there is.
Does it list any object that has a desire? That's the only thing that I really want to know.
I'm trying to understand that. Give me a minute.
A human being would be an object that has a desire.
Oh my god.
Speed.
A non-living thing.
I'm having desire. I'm having orgasms.
I don't think that.
I'll specify it for you, Leo. A non-living thing that has a desire. So,
yeah,
for instance, your microphone having the desire to pull back the moment you put it up really close to your mouth and becomes so loud that you're exploding people's ears. That.
Oh my god.
So I don't.
Just kidding.
Have desires.
Speed.
Yeah.
Otangelo, what's your take
Should we
on
let our
this?
guests have a word?
Which
Say in the
guest?
conversation?
All right,
Oh,
I'll reserve. Okay, I will reserve the word desire to refer to states of mind.
Mr. Tangelo? Mr.
Otangelo.
Old Tangelo?
Well, I was just at the Discord channel of Dart, but I didn't advise him that the stream was on. He did figure it out by himself.
Oh, what do you think of my picture?
Oh, you should ask him what he thinks. About it.
Yeah,
Did you like
I will. Otangelo, I'm not going to ask you to ask him for me. We get along. We get along pretty well. I'm not going to get you in that much trouble. Don't do it.
Yeah, I think by now you should know what his opinion is on your picture, right?
I know what his opinion is on me. I think that pretty much sums it up. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. He
doesn't like you?
No, he hates me.
Oh my God.
He
Tom
does
Rabbit.
not want to talk. He even got praise to boot me. So
What's up, guys?
Not too
Hey,
much. How are
Tom.
you doing?
Hey,
Oh,
Tom.
hey, how's it going, Tom?
I don't believe we've met.
Yeah, me
Well,
neither.
nice to meet you all.
How's your night going?
Fine, just hanging out.
why
Good
didn't I
until
make,
you-
why didn't I make your channel, Tom?
I don't know. Hard to say. Couldn't tell you.
So,
So
Tom,
you're not posting all the conversations with Darth?
No, not all of them. No,
Why
I
not?
have to make.
That'd probably
I-
be too
cut.
much work.
I got a special one. I got him to talk about the Bible. No one ever gets that far.
No, Darth has expressed his view on like young Earth creationism before. Actually,
I scared him. Oh no, he's back.
Yeah, I think
Darth
I
has
did.
publicly. I think
hit the
Darth
wrong
did one.
button.
I think Darth at one point did talk about his views on like the age of the Earth and evolution.
I got him to specifically address verses in the Bible. I've I've watched a lot. I've never seen him talk about the Bible anywhere.
Hey, what are his views on the age of the Earth and evolution?
What do you think his views are on the age of the Earth and evolution?
Is he a yak? He's a yak?
He
He's
is.
a young- he's a young-
Darth is a young Earth creationist, and he thinks that the Earth is
position-
6,000 to 10,000 years
Yeah.
old.
A position
Holy
to this day is entirely unjustifiable.
Well, your
Wow.
opinion is meaningless, Leo. So
That's
Well,
not
it's
No,
not an
he's a
opinion,
total
it's
idiot.
just fact at this
hold on,
point.
hold on, guys, hold on. It's not an opinion. It is a thoroughly demonstrable fact.
Well, I mean,
mean,
there's certain evidences that we
want,
could look. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I think Darth
You're,
is right about
You're-
everything. I think he's wrong about a lot of things, but first of all, you got to get rid of your bias that Darth is just always wrong, because he is right about some things, right? And he would probably present a philosophical argument about, last Tuesdayism, right? And although it's really not unfalsifiable, right?
Right.
Like you can't prove that you are not a brain in the vat. It is true that it is logically possible that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and it was created with the appearance of an older.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So besides the young Earth creationist view, let's that put on side. But if you are saying that he is just on few things right, but mostly wrong, can you give an example on what you think he is patently or very obviously wrong?
Sure.
The age of the Earth.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I just
let's
said
table that
outside.
issue for a second. And I think he's wrong about God being an explanation for things.
Why?
I think he's wrong about God.
Why is God
existing.
not an explanation for things immutable?
Why? Because if you say God is an explanation for something, right, you haven't explained how it is that God comes to realize like potential states of affairs into actual states of affairs.
Why does
Right,
it have
you-
to be explained?
Why? Because that's part of what it means to have explained something, right?
So
just
what is
attributing
your
just
alternative? So what is your alternative?
What is my alternative? It does. I can explain it by anything else if I want to appeal to agency.
No,
I
I
can
want
say-
that you give me a more reasonable and more coherent and compelling explanation, which
Natural
doesn't include
facts,
God.
which we already
That's
which
not
we
an
already know.
explanation. That's
Wait,
not
hold
an
on.
explanation.
We're skimming over. We're skimming over an important question. Explanation for what?
An
For our
explanation for what
existence.
particularly?
What?
For
So what do you
our
mean? An
existence.
explanation for our what? So what is existence to you? When you think of existence,
Why is there something rather than nothing?
Why is there something rather than nothing? I
Angelo,
don't know.
So hold on. When you
Angelo,
ask,
that is not what Darth
why
is claiming.
are
Darth
you-
claims,
Okay,
Darth
never mind.
claims you need to reference God for all facts.
Peter.
So when you ask why, do you mean why in terms of just a sort of a mechanistic explanation, or do you mean why in terms of intention?
Well, I was just right now at his stream, and he said something which I think is very
Brilliant.
pertinent, which is you need to explain why there is a sequence of facts and
Why?
how did
Okay.
everything start.
What do you mean by
actually.
Tangelo, let
What
me
is the
let
sequence of facts?
Well, look,
Hold
let me
on.
just let me answer Tangelo's question really quick. I've heard Darth say, and he says this all the time. He said, in order for you to falsify X, you have to present an alternative to X, right? And the analogy in this scenario is that X represents the Christian worldview. And if you want to say that the Christian worldview is not true, then you need to present like the Muslim worldview and why that's true and it's incompatible with Christianity. Do you think that, Atangelo?
Well, the thing is, if you think that
Look,
No, just answer the question.
If you could, I will allow you. I have no problem allowing you to qualify your answer. But please,
Answer.
you can answer yes or no and then qualify as long as you want. Go ahead.
So ask again, please.
Darth makes the claim that in order to falsify Christianity, you have to present another worldview in order to falsify Christianity. You have to present, not X. Do you agree with that? And he says
Yes.
that's the only way that you can do it.
Yes, I agree with that.
What? That's
why.
So let me ask you this, Atangelo. If you present the Christian worldview, and let's just say, let's just use a thought experiment, right? I'm not even saying that I can, just for the sake of discussion, because we're only talking about this statement. If I say that I have, and I can show that there are contradictions in the Christian worldview by your lights, and we're both in agreement that contradictions are impossible, have I shown another worldview?
No.
Right, but do you think contradictions will falsify a view?
Yes.
Well, congratulations. You now agree with me, and you disagree with Darth.
Nicely done.
The thing is, now you have work to do. You have actually.
No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, can I explain? Can I explain what I am saying?
Go ahead.
In order for you to say that X is contradicting, you have to say why. And if I am saying that a creator at the bottom of reality, which is a conscient, eternal mind, is necessary to secure what is possible and impossible using Darth's wording, then you have to explain why that is not coherent or even illogical. If that concept is not
So next,
illogical,
that
then
would be
we
the
can
next
work
thing to
with-
do.
then we can work with that, and
Right,
then you
right,
have.
but just I understand what you're saying, and that we can talk about that. We can get to that, as Darth would say, although I'm willing to get to it, right? But my example was to show you asked me something that Darth says that's wrong, and I gave it to you, and you seem to agree with me. Now, you saying you want to move on from that?
Well, if he says that, then I disagree with him, and there are many things which I disagree with him. I don't think he is the Pope who knows everything correctly, so I have no problem to disagree with him. But I agree with that. If you want to say that a theistic worldview is not sound, you have to provide one which is more compelling and more sound and which is more case adequate to
That's
explain
false. That's
reality.
you just
I
agreed to
disagree
the
with that
opposite of what you're
wholeheartedly.
saying.
You just disagreed with it.
No, no,
to
let
show
me
that
explain.
something is
Let
not
me
sound,
explain.
right?
In order for
show
you
that
to
it's not
say
sound.
that X is wrong, you have to find some way of a definition which is contradicting or illogical. And what I just said is that I posit and I describe the God which I'm proposing as a conscient mind, which is at the bottom of reality, which is unchanging, eternal, conscious, and necessary, and which secures what is impossible and possible. Now, there is nothing illogical or irrational or incoherent in that description. So you have nothing to say against X.
You know
Right.
what?
Well,
Okay, hold on. There's also nothing inconsistent with me postulating some kind of extraterrestrial, some kind of alien that lives beyond space and time that's responsible for poofing the universe into existence. But just because that concept is cogent doesn't mean that that type of thing is what is actually responsible for
Can I ask?
the things that we see. And hold on. What I would need to do to be able to say that for sure is to have some corollary that demonstrates that the principle I'm suggesting actually is responsible for the things that I'm claiming it to have done.
You need that, but at the same time, if you want to refute it, you need to provide an alternative explanation which is
No.
more case
No,
adequate and more rational than the theistic proposal.
if
No,
X
if
is
I just-
refuted, if X is refuted by virtue of having a contradiction within the view, right? Then X has been falsified, and what would then be true is the not X worldview.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
precisely.
I just said that there is nothing incoherent in the description which I gave in regards of the creator, which I'm positing. There is nothing illogical there.
Right, but what I just said is that okay. But the point is, you're understanding the first part, but not the second part, which is that even though the definition is consistent, that doesn't ensure necessarily that the description that you're using is actually responsible for the type of claim that you're making. It's entirely possible for the god of Allah or for any of the other gods that are purported by the Vedics or Buddhism or things like that to have created the universe, as they claim to have done.
I have not even gone there. I have not given an identity to that creator. The unique attributes which I have given is that there has to be a conscious, eternal, powerful creator at the bottom of reality, which is unchanging and which instantiates everything which is necessary, and everything is contingent upon that being. That is the description which I gave. I didn't say that it was Allah or that it was Yahweh or that it was the
Yeah, but you will be,
or
as
whatever.
Stephen Law said,
That
you
is
will
not-
be. You
that
will
is
be.
not what I said. That's not the description which I gave. Now, in order for you
guys,
to
I
refute
need
that,
to, I need to, guys, I need to drop off real soon. Can I ask just one question and see if I can?
Sure.
Otangelo, you believe in the Christian God. If your God makes a claim that we can actually test, and we find out that that claim is incorrect, would that falsify your God?
well, I would like to see what you have to say and then analyze it.
I would. No, that's
It's a hypothetical.
This is a yes or no answer. It's not a hypothetical. This is a yes or no answer. If your God makes a claim we can clearly test, and if it then turns out that it is a false claim, would that refute your God?
It would maximally give the information that God was lying.
Okay.
Speed, look in
so
private chat.
can I there's a reason for me asking.
Speed, look in private chat.
Otangelo, would you say that you have faith?
We all have faith.
Okay. So if we go back, I disagree with that claim, but I wanted to know if you have faith. Do you have a lot of faith or just a little bit?
Since you disagree that we all have faith, Peter, do you either believe that the natural world is all there
irrelevant.
is?
It's
or
irrelevant.
That has nothing to do with faith.
It's irrelevant to the question whether or not you have faith.
Belief and knowledge are two different categories, so don't conflate between them.
Please, let's keep this on track. Otangelo, you have faith. Would you describe your faith as just a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
A lot. So you have faith that would be more than the size of a mustard seed, as it is defined in the Bible.
Yes, we can say that.
Yes. Okay. So in Matthew 17:20, Jesus says to the boy with the demon, "For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will. Nothing will be impossible for you." Have you tested that?
Do you think that that Jesus was talking in allegories and in figurative ways?
No, clearly not.
No, I think he was.
Clearly not.
I think he was.
No, he says if you have faith to the mustard seed, and he is pointing at a specific mountain, you can say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. And he then says, nothing will be impossible for you. There's no way to say, well, if it's nothing, then some things are and some things are not, because then it wouldn't be nothing will be nothing is impossible.
Okay,
I don't think.
Okay, did Jesus use parables to make a point? Yes or no?
And not here.
No, I think that's a parable. It's actually called the parable of the mustard seed.
Mm-hmm. So Mr. Darth is on Praise's dream right now.
So it's a parable.
Cool.
It's a parable that Jesus says nothing will be impossible for you. That's a parable.
Part of that parable contains that. Part of what Jesus says about that parable.
How is a sentence as clear as that? What are the different explanations that you can give to that particular sentence?
He's not meaning the sentence literally. He's meaning the sentence within the confines of the story.
He says nothing will be impossible for you.
Right, because he's referring
even within the contents of that story, using a parable, he clearly means that nothing is impossible.
Right, and he's saying that because in the parable of the mustard seed, something as small as a mustard seed grows to be something great and something. That's not. Yes, he's drawing a syllogism between what happened within the fable and the strength that faith has when people draw upon Christ.
What does the verse before that talk about?
What does it talk about? You tell me. I don't remember the whole story.
You said this was a parable, so you clearly know
what the
parable is about.
Right. It's about a parable about planting a mustard seed that is very, very small.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. Not in this particular chapter. It isn't.
Peter, I did Google here Jesus' parable of the mustard seed, and the first link that showed up, the parable of the mustard seed. The mustard seed was the smallest seed, but it grew into a huge plant. In this parable, Jesus teaches that although the kingdom of God started small with Jesus and the disciples, it would grow and spread across the world
nothing to do with this verse.
Numbers of followers.
Nothing.
I
It's
am
nothing
just
to do with.
quoting. I am just quoting.
I
what
agreed. I agreed that
by
there is a
Googling,
parable.
okay?
Hold on. I agreed that there is a parable of the mustard seed, and I disagreed that this is what the verse is talking about. I'm talking about
I think it's
Matthew
quite obvious.
7. I'm talking about Matthew 7:20. This is a reply after Jesus is asked a question, a specific question, about something that actually happened, not a parable.
Let's look at
A boy
Matthew
is
7:20.
A boy is coming up to Jesus and is doubting his abilities, and Jesus tells him that these are your abilities, and here's why you failed.
Let's see.
Tangelo, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
Nobody. Okay, it still applies to the parable of the mustard seed because Matthew 7:7-12 says, "Ask and it will be given to you; seek and you will find food; knock and the door will
I'm not
be
talking about
opened."
Matthew 7-12. I'm talking about Matthew 17:20.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Matthew. Let's see. Matthew 17:20. Right. Okay.
Yes.
1 sec. Let me get there. Hold on.
Which is several chapters later.
Yeah. 1 sec. Let me get to it.
Hello, talking about. Oops, sorry.
Matthew 17:20, which says, "And he said to them, because of your littleness of your faith, I say to you, if you have the faith size of a mustard seed, and say to this mountain, move from here to there, it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you." Yeah, it's talking about the faith of a mustard seed.
Mutable.
No, it's talking about unbelief and how unbelief leads you to be not able to do certain things, whereas belief will make you able of doing those things. It is clear. It's not a parable.
It's talking about the value of faith.
It is talking about what you can do. It's talking about specific things you can do. It's not a parable.
It's clearly referencing the parable.
It is referencing a parable. This is not a parable. This is Jesus stating clearly what you can do if only you have faith.
Right.
If you do not have faith, you cannot do X.
He's not describing.
And he's describing that if you have faith, you can do X. It's not a parable.
I don't think he's describing that you can actually move a mountain if you have faith.
It's literally what it says. Word for word.
Using a metaphor. I think he's using a metaphor because
for truly I tell you, that means I'm not saying this for sure. I'm using this as an analogy. If you have faith of the mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Well, that doesn't mean that nothing is impossible. It just means that some things are not impossible. And one of the things that is impossible is the example I just gave you. That's just bonkers. That's just insane.
Do you think the sentiment that the statement is trying to convey is that people should tell mountains to go leap into the ocean?
I don't know. I can pull up another verse where Jesus says that you can perform bigger miracles than he ever has if only you have faith.
I think what Jesus is saying to the people is that if you have
he's not saying this to the people. This is
I'm not allowed to talk. This is just great.
With a boy.
I think what Jesus is trying to convey to the reader is that if you have faith in like the size of a mustard seed, you will be able to do things that you weren't thought that normally would not be possible. Like, people like imagining the mustard seed to grow into such a huge freaking plant, or asking a mountain to go jump into the ocean.
Wait a minute, can mustard seeds become trees? What the fuck?
No, mustard seeds grow into huge plants.
They seem to have a lot of faith in mustard seeds.
It's also so this lists the verses which are completely different chapters. Has nothing to do with the thing that I just pulled up.
Okay. I mean, it's still referencing the parrot. It doesn't have to be part of the same chapter.
That's my point. It's not referencing what I just read.
I disagree.
Actually, there it does. Can you scroll up?
So
just
it
a little
does.
bit?
Well, there the
Hold
fucking
on,
go.
hold on. I saw it. Hold on. No, there we go.
What do you want?
It's also used to refer to faith in Matthew 7:20. It's referred to faith in Matthew 7:20. It says nothing that is part of the parable.
That's literally what the parable is about.
It is not a parable. That's what I'm saying.
The parable of the mustard seed is about faith.
The parable of the mustard seed is used to refer to faith in Matthew 7:20. That means that Matthew 7:20 is not the parable.
The mustard seed is the parable. It's not difficult.
How is this difficult? If the parable is in one chapter, and we've moved on several chapters, and the only thing it is referring to is faith.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that when it's referring to faith, where the word faith is used becomes automatically a parable. That's insane.
It is referring to faith by using the analogy of a mustard seed and what the mustard seed becomes once it is matured.
So everywhere in the Bible where the word faith is used is a parable.
No. When it says...
That's what you just said.
No, it's not. I'm saying when it mentions...
So how is Matthew 7:20 a parable?
When you go to Matthew 17, 17:20, and it says...
How is that a parable?
And he said to them, because of the littleness of your faith, for I truly say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed...
How is that a parable?
Because that's the thing that faith is meant to be symbolized by in the parable.
What? No.
Yes.
No. The parable of the mustard seed isn't in Matthew 7:20.
Do you think it has to be mentioned explicitly, within the context of being referenced?
I'm asking why Matthew 17:20 is a parable.
Because it's referring to the same story.
The only thing you can come up with is because the word faith is used, and the word faith is explained by parable. So that means that every single time the word faith is used, it's a parable.
No, because the word faith is the object.
Here real quick. Excuse me, guys. I need everybody to stop and take a moment of silence and just ponder over the irony of arguing scripture on an atheist.
Yeah, exactly. And immutable. You had a Bible sitting right there.
Yeah,
it's not too hard to pull up a Bible on the internet. It's really not too hard.
It's sad because the question was for Otangelo, and now Otangelo has left, so it's kind of redundant.
It's a non-point.
The person I wanted to get the answer from is left.
I don't freaking know.
Is that actual Tom or is that imposter Tom?
I don't even know what the fuck.
No, it's me.
Oh my god!
I just had a question for
I was talking
Otangelo.
to Otangelo, and then they wanted to talk about mustard seeds for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was talking to Otangelo and was trying to get an answer from Otangelo, and then everyone who wasn't Otangelo jumped in to answer the question that was directed.
Why are you following Otangelo, Tom?
I mean, look, this isn't my venue, so I'll defer to them.
I didn't know. I was asking why you were following Otangelo. I didn't know if it was.
Oh, it's not that I was following him. I just saw the stream, and then I saw.
Yeah. Nobody follows Otangelo.
I mean, it is kind of interesting. I mean,
there's one guy who follows him if you pick on Otangelo.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, he challenged me to some things, and I immediately had answers, and I got him to concede the very first point. It seemed like it was going well, and then the mustard thing.
The mustard seed.
Mustard seed was more important.
So, Tom,
Look,
I
you
got a
don't
question-
you
I got a
won't
question for
you won't find these people, right, away from their handlers for very long. You got to understand. You
Right.
only have a set amount of time before Darth says, "Where's Otangelo?" and he does the whistle, and then Otangelo comes running back, right?
Yeah,
Otangelo comes on our stream every day. Almost.
On that, I disagree.
He's
I
over with
recently,
Darth
I
right
recently
now.
saw Otangelo criticize Darth in
Yeah.
public on a live stream.
But that's compatible with what Tom is saying.
They're over at Praises stream. Tangelo is there now.
Oh,
too.
Tangelo's there now too.
Criticized him
Let me
for
chime
what,
back
though?
in. Let me chime back in.
Like,
Darth was
I
making the claim
criticize
that
Darth
Leo was-
because he cares too much about apologetics.
Actually,
I'm
to be fair
curious.
to Otangelo-
Have you ever had a conversation with Darth yourself?
Yes.
Tom? Oh, multiple times.
Nothing substantive for probably a couple of years. I have a standing offer for him to debate, just me and him, on Modern Day Debate anytime, and he has declined.
Yeah, it'll probably not happen, just as he won't talk to me anymore. I think you may have done something that has upset him somehow.
No, well, he cites the reason as he won't do it on Modern Day Debate because since the debate would be scheduled, what I would do is that I would tell Jack, "Hey, here's the time of the debate, and I need you to feed me lines." That's what his hypothesis.
Really? Wow, that sounds like projection on his part.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be feeding me lines right now.
Probably, can James screen you well enough before you go on a debate? Just.
So,
I mean,
so
it does.
Darth,
First of all, I'll tell you why this doesn't make any sense. Right? Because anytime Darth joins a new server, first thing he says to the new server owners, he says, "In about a minute, guy named Jack Angstrike is going to join this room, and you need to kick him out, or I'm leaving." So that's the response time for Jack to intervene wherever Darth is. Do you think so? What's going to be any different for when I'm like on some Discord channel, right? What's going to be the difference? Still going to be able to feed me lines potentially, right?
I can.
But the
tell
thing
you
about being
difference.
fed lines, I've in the past Google Hangouts and stuff. I've talked to people while debating various people, and it never works, right? You can't actually process in DMs while the other person is talking, respond to what that person was saying, keep in mind what the person DMing. It actually just doesn't work. And when you try to pull it off, it's obvious that it's not your words, right? Because they're not. It's just obvious you're reading. It's just anyone who's got a brain can spot it a mile away. So that's just ridiculous. Second reason why this thing is ridiculous is that Darth Dawkins says all day that Jack is not a good reasoner, and in fact, Jack is a sophist. He is characterized by Darth as a sophist, right? Sophist meaning that it's someone who uses fallacious arguments, right? So you tell me why someone would be worried about getting crib notes that are fallacious arguments. Can you explain why that would be an actual concern?
well, the other thing too is right. If Jack is worried about you being fed,
Darth.
fallacious argument, or if Darth is worried about you being fed fallacious arguments from somebody like Jack, does that not also somewhat imply that Darth is worried about falling victim or accepting a fallacious argument accidentally? That Darth isn't capable of recognizing a fallacious argument?
Hey, Tom, do you see they have your homepage up on the stream over Praises right now?
Yeah, that's great. It's great advertising. I love it.
But yeah,
That's what you would actually want.
What
Guys, I have to drop off. I need to catch some sleep. And
Yeah, why would I care? Oh, okay, great.
Tom, keep up the good work, and
you, Peter.
maybe have a rethink if you can post my conversation, that would mean a lot. But
Okay, I don't remember which one it was, but
it was
take a look
here.
at the archives.
Speed can tell you what show it was, I think.
Okay.
I probably could.
Currently,
Thanks, Peter.
Catch you guys later.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, see ya.
Okay.
Peace out.
Bye bye.
Currently, Team Darth, as I like to say, is exploring their options. Exploring their options to copyright strike my channel.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Are they not familiar with fair use?
Well,
Wow.
they are to somewhat, and fair use actually, I think, is not applicable in this situation, because fair use is about something that is protected by a copyright and the use of that, which is protected by a copyright. However, anyone can join this public Discord. Anybody can record. If you think about Supreme Leader streams recording and me recording, there's no difference. We're both just two guys recording something in the channel, right?
Right.
No one has exclusive rights to the copyright, and that's an important word, right? Exclusive rights. So if I were to take the recording that Supreme Leader took and just whole cloth just put it on my channel, I think then they would have a legitimate claim to something, perhaps, right? Now, if you go to Speaker's Corner and there's Mr. Batman there, and there's 3 or 4 people with their cell phones up filming Mr. Batman preaching to the crowd, right? It isn't the case that the first person that started filming has copyright to all the other videos filmed from the other cell phones. It doesn't work like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But Darth Dawkins' idea, and I think this stems from the fact that these other 2 channels that stream their Discord, they have been copyright striked. And I think Supreme Leader's channel has been taken down twice. And
really?
Wow. Yeah, and they think that it was because they were broadcasting live because Darth was streaming it. And so, of course, the Supreme Leader was streaming it. Live shows like the Atheist Experience, right? And that is not a public venue. In other words, to get access to the Atheist Experience, you have to get it from them and them exclusively, right? Now, for the content in the Reformation server, I do not have to go exclusively to Supreme Leader's stream. I can just go into the Discord channel and I could record it myself, right? So Darth has got it in his head. He's got this idea that because I stream these channels got taken down because they were streaming something live. And so therefore, if I stream something live, I have copyright claim to whatever I stream live. So their plan now is they just want to like stream the Reformation Discord like 24/7, and then they're just completely blanket protected and have copyrights to everything that happens in the server. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
Is there anything within the TOS of the server specifically like banning like recording?
TOS of the server, I don't think.
Rules and policies of the server itself.
Sometimes
servers like outline rules for.
But that wouldn't apply to copyright.
Yeah, that would be.
It's too weak.
Yeah, it is.
Rules, you know. It's like making rules for wearing a shirt or whatever at your store. You know, it's not.
It's like rules for scientism. The first rule of scientism is you don't do scientism.
First rule of scientism is you remove immutable from the stream. What do you think of that, fucker?
Anyway, so the first rule of scientism is to silence all critics that say you. Okay, we've seen where that goes.
It's just silly because imagine this, right? Imagine that I streamed to a channel that just had like for the title just random numbers, right? No one would ever see it. I stream the content from there, and then Supreme later streaming the content. Oh, do I now have exclusive rights to it? Maybe my stream started 1 minute earlier. I mean, like, what? They have to actually think about this and like understand that, like, what if I stream it? Do I then have rights? Right. It's just, I tell you what's happening here, and Darth wants it to be true that he has a copyright claim. He doesn't, right? And Darth oftentimes expresses it with this Bible verse that says they wanted to hear what pleased their itching ears, or something like that. That's probably not verbatim, but basically it just means that people hear what they want to hear, and they're more agreeable or amenable to things that they want to hear, and not just solely based on whether it's true or false. And
they should
Darth
go see their doctor if it's itching.
Yeah, they're
Darth
talking about you now. They're saying that that you're stealing his content, and that
you're saying mean things.
Obsessed with him, that you're obsessed with him.
Oh my god!
I mean,
it depends. Weird,
right?
It depends how you cash out obsessed. I mean, depending how you cash out obsessed, I don't know. But you know, if Darth's not around for a day, I'm kind of actually like relieved. I'm like, great. I don't have to do anything today, you know, and I can just do something else. I personally, I think I really think that a pool of apologists. Like, I wish Matt Slick was more active. I wish Mr. Batman.
Bars.
I wish Mr. Batman was more coherent, and that he actually debated and didn't just, as he says, quote, give lectures. Right. I wish all these apologists were still around. Unfortunately, they're not. And Darth Dawkins is probably the most prolific Christian apologist that is active today. I can't think of anybody who does this day in and day out, hours and hours a day. And I think it's like that because it's compulsive, right? I think he's very clearly driven by a strong desire to freaking pwn some fucking atheist intellectually, right? And
very ego-driven.
Yeah, well, when you have compulsions like that, it's easy to be very prolific, right? But yeah, I mean, obsession. I mean, if you want to say it like that, I don't know. Maybe in a way, obsession, I think, is just much more like you can't not do it. But yeah, I mean, look, I've gone for months where Darth was boring. There was a long period of time where it was about 2 months where he was really, really boring. And I kept saying to myself, this is not worthy of upload. This is not worthy of upload. And so I just didn't upload a lot. What happened during that period of time is that the views and the population of his room went down drastically, right? When I started doing my videos again, the room this doesn't make sense, right? I mean, he's been on records. I don't care if Tom makes these videos. I don't care what he says. I don't care that they hate me. I don't care about this. And in fact, Tom does a great thing for us. Without him, I wouldn't have all this free advertising. So it's a good thing. It just seems to show that it's not true that he doesn't care. He's actually very, very bothered by these videos. The things that he says in his streams, obviously, you can tell he's addressing even particular comments in the YouTube comments. And I've said this for a while. I know for a fact Darth is all over the YouTube comments, right? And he'll drop mid-sentence and say, he's like, look, and for everybody in the room, you know, people say I kick people who just don't agree with me, you know, and I'm here we are having a nice conversation, me and you, right? I'm not kicking you, and then carry on. And that's the only purpose of that, is to say, hey, you people accusing me of this, look, you guys are wrong, right? I'm being cool to this guy, right? So
Matt Slick, I get about 3 notifications a week from him.
Really?
On
That guy's
some-
still
From
around?
Carm?
Huh? On
God.
YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I never watch him, so I don't know what the hell he's doing, but I get like 3 notifications a week. I don't know why. I must be subscribed to him somewhere along the line.
Matt Slick is
Not sure.
boring.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Yeah, I thought so, but
A lot of apologists are boring, honestly. I mean, I
It's-
think Darth is.
Oh, he's
Doesn't Darth
entertaining.
run? Well, of course, you can be boring and entertaining, Danny. Let's be real here.
Oh, well, then I don't know what you're talking about.
But
I just think some people can be boring, but the way they're boring is exceptionally just entertaining.
Yeah, they're going through they're like going through all these videos on my channel, and you know what? It's great. Go through the whole fucking archive. You know, I don't care.
Butter Biscuit alleged Christ something, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm currently obsessed with Sal Cordova. So I mean, yeah, and I'm obsessed with him because he's so fucking wrong. He's just so, and he's so fun, you know, to watch all the ways in which he's wrong. And
The thing I don't understand about creationists themselves, in mostly Sal, is why they're so obsessed like with this particular thing on eukaryotic evolution.
Oh, they love that one because it's complicated. It's complicated, and they don't think that there's any really good hypothesis out there about it, and they're because they've never fucking looked. They just don't look at the work that's being done on it, and it just kills me.
I mean, I've almost coined the syndrome like the Tony syndrome. Like, if you ask young Earth creationists about like abiogenesis research, they appeal to things like the RNA world, which it isn't wrong. I mean, it's very heavily been looked into even nowadays. But there's a lot of other like hypotheses going on in abiogenesis that aren't RNA world, or that are more than like RNA world hypotheses that creationists are just not very well aware of, and that these other hypotheses do address.
Yeah.
Tom,
Well, they only read what they want to read, you know. So they're not going to look at the wider range of papers. So.
Tom,
like Erica was telling us
on Nathan's channel with Bing.
What's that, Danny?
No, I didn't, but I've seen you perform before.
Oh, okay.
I saw it, Danny.
Oh, you did, David? Oh,
yes, I did.
Isn't she a cutie?
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. You got a little revealing there, Danny. I mean, you kind of got a little carried away with some of the
sexual stuff. Oh well.
Yeah, I think you seem to be you really seem to be enjoying yourself with the entertainment. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I go way back with that stuff, so it's not nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing new in terms.
By the way,
like,
Danny, you're supposed to always. You don't say I performed with Bing. You always say I performed with my wife now.
Okay, with my wife.
It's always my wife. Leophilius, there is one thing I didn't like about when you talked to Darth, and that was the quantum fields thing.
I didn't.
He asked me my opinion, so I gave it to him.
But do you think that quantum fields require space-time?
It's hard to say, but it's likely that they don't.
Yeah,
it's likely that they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of weird.
So,
well,
I mean, fields
I don't know
are
what
something
you want me to say.
I can see why you might say that.
So. Fields are like objects in space-time.
Well, classical fields are, yes.
So are quantum fields. I mean, they're just
well, we don't really know that.
What basis will you have to say that they're not?
That space isn't really a relevant thing when we talk about quantum fields.
What do they reside in? Some sort of medium?
Not exactly.
To ask what a quantum field would reside in to me, I don't understand that question. It's not something that would apply to a quantum field.
Yeah.
Does a quantum field describe a vector space?
Quantum fields are generally represented by oftentimes complex and dimensional vector spaces. Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
sure,
you asked the question the wrong way around, Immutable. Do you describe a quantum field with a vector space?
Isn't that what I asked?
No, you asked the other way around.
Leo, are you drunk and talking about quantum physics?
I'm talking about quantum physics, but I'm not drunk. Trust me. You would know if I was drunk.
Right, but I mean, it seems like within physics, like vector spaces always refer to physical. Well, always end up referring to like physical places.
I would argue that quantum fields are physical. It just, when we talk about space-time in terms of quantum field theory, we don't get the same notions that we would otherwise get in relativity or in classical mechanics.
Well, sure, because the way space behaves in smaller, let's say in more compactified dimensions, is different than the way it behaves on larger scales.
Wouldn't that be assuming that there are? Wouldn't that be assuming that there are other dimensions?
Sure, I don't think there's reason to dismiss that hypothesis.
I do.
Well, look, the question that Darth has is just basically saying, like, what's the one thing that you could take away and there's nothing left?
So you're saying, Darth was essentially asking, what is like the most absolute fundamental thing that exists in my worldview?
Yeah.
And I would argue, at least thus far, me personally, I would say the quantum fields. That as far as we've been able to deduce as a species collectively, we are not capable of breaking reality down to anything further, and we are not capable of removing that. That seems to be, at least thus far, the most fundamental thing that we know about that exists.
But what if there are a lot of things that each of which you could take away and nothing would be, right?
Well, I mean, there are more than one quantum field. There are several, a little over a dozen different quantum fields. But if we're talking about in terms of what humans have been capable of measuring, we don't. It seems thus far we are not capable of breaking reality into anything more fundamental or more elementary than quantum fields, and that quantum fields themselves are sort of nomological. They're just they're there. They exist. That's it.
Yeah, but this idea of finding one fundamental string that you can pull seems flawed to me, and it just doesn't seem.
I don't think it's flawed at all.
You mean the reducing everything down to one fundamental thing that which I'm willing to grant that it's possible that there could be a one most fundamental thing, but I'm not willing to say that it must be the case that there's one.
Think about it for a second. If there was one fundamental thing, then how would that fundamental thing vary if it were the only thing?
Well, because the fundamentals.
Yeah, and if it couldn't vary, then there couldn't be any kind of existence, because existence requires variation.
Well, the thing is, though, right? Like even within like the context of string theory, I believe strings exist or are described like within a topological space, and it can undergo deformation in that space. Like by a given set of rules, right? So, I mean, I don't see where you get that notion from. Like that the string is like invariant, or just can't change at all.
How does it vary if it's one fundamental thing? If there's only one fundamental thing, what is it going to vary into?
Because strings are described and because strings are described by multiple parameters.
Jeez,
and that's what I mean.
They're all dropping like flies here.
Must have got bored.
I mean,
physics.
Are you saying like there's something about the parameters like that describe strings can't vary, or
in order for there to be a parameter for a thing to vary, it can't be one fundamental thing. It has to be something that's more complex. It's more complex in that it can vary in different dimensions or different dimensions is what we're talking about, state spaces, right? So I mean, there has to be a space to begin with So there's no one fundamental piece of that. It's just a whole, a complex whole.
I mean, it could be that the solutions, like the equations, that string theory attempts to.
Okay,
like,
there could be one
describe the
kind of
problems.
thing.
Well, what I was going to say is that the equations that string theory solves, right? It could be the case that those equations require and can only be solved in 11th dimensional space and in no other dimension of space, which in that case would be evidence of string theory.
Okay, but is there more than one string?
Maybe. I mean,
Yes.
Okay, that's what I mean by there can't be a fundamental thing. If there was a fundamental thing, there would only be one thing. There'd be nothing for it to vary into, nothing for it to contrast. So nothing would be, basically.
well, not necessarily, right? The way that string vibrates or the way that string like behaves could be described by a lower dimensional, like by quantum fields interacting in a lower dimensional space.
Okay, you're kind of the idea is contrasting one type of thing with one thing, one fundamental thing, right?
Yeah.
One type of thing. So one fundamental type of thing, even that, I mean, how would you hash that out? So is a string one fundamental type of thing, and there is nothing else.
What you could say, right, is that if a string is an 11th dimensional object that, that has some topological structure, right, that it describes, like, that certain parameters of that string describe, like, equations of quantum fields in a 10th dimensional space or something like that.
But is there only one string?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
there's
within
only
that,
one string?
well, sure, but I mean, even within that, you would have sufficient room to embed equations about lower dimensional space and objects.
Within that one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it would have parts, basically. It would have, well, for one thing, okay, is there only one string in string theory, or is there more than one?
There's more than one.
There's more than one, but
if there's more than one string, then there's a relationship between them, and there's necessarily something else that is also fundamental.
Sure. I mean, if our universe had, like, if the characteristic string that describes our universe interacts with other strings, right?
Interacts with other strings. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. It just doesn't seem. There's something wrong with this idea of something fundamental. It just seems like
I don't think so.
Well, there may be one fundamental mathematical system that we can describe it with, but it certainly doesn't define something that is like one fundamental point source beginning and how does Darth describe it? The thing that makes all things possible.
Yeah.
What does he say?
That would prescribes what is possible and impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, that just seems flawed. It just doesn't seem.
Exstantiates, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I just don't see why. I mean, I see it perfectly rational that, you can use, like, a higher dimensional object like a string to embed all the equations or sufficient number of equations you need to describe all of particle physics and the rest of physics within that type of structure.
Oh, I think they're going after Knock now over there.
They are. Yeah.
Oh, how fun!
Hey, we did a lousy job. We didn't do very well at whispering, if you know what I mean. I think.
Yeah, we didn't.
You give me the word, and I'll whisper.
Not tonight.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. Any other time.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will be glad to. To do that for you.
Somebody summoned the 11th dimension.
Oh, Immutable is talking is propping up string theory.
He's what?
I am defending string theory.
Oh, no. I think you summoned him.
I think so.
Summoned him. Got him out of bed.
I think even if LQG is right, that doesn't necessarily mean string theory is wrong.
I was reviewing a Cordova stream and I dozed off, and I popped up when he said speed of sound. immediately.
Oh God.
Hey, one thing I wanted to talk to you, well, just bring up with Sal Cordova. He had mentioned on one of his recent streams, I've watched like 4 of them in the past 2 or 3 days, and he mentioned that James Folder kid that goes on Digital Gnosis channel a lot. Those
Fodor,
two guys.
yeah.
Holy shit, that
what
kid
the
is
story?
really smart. You ever listen to him? I mean, he's had long streams with Nathan. They've done tons of long streams together, and he's a really brilliant young kid. And I guess Sal was going to do a debate with him at one point, and it may still happen because he had mentioned him. So I didn't know they knew each other. Or
what is Fodor's field?
It's a good question. I don't know. He is educated, and he's young kid. I believe he's, in the process of his education now. I don't know what that is, but extremely smart. And I know Sal mentioned him. I was like, oh, well, they know each other. I didn't know that they knew each other. And there was some sort of a debate was going to be set up. I think it was going to be like a tag team, possibly. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Scott. Say again.
Imagine all that smarts plus an English accent. These guys are going to take over the world.
Yep. This is pretty shitty.
Yeah,
Alright,
guys, I'm peacing out.
Oh,
All right, enjoy your drunk slumber.
Okay, this is pretty shitty.
Right.
And I'm not going to bed yet. I've still got some lectures to watch. So,
Okay.
peace out, everybody. Much love.
See you, Leo.
They're shitty.
Dang,
Shitty
you
people
guys
over
want
there.
to ask Leo a question, and you drove him off.
Oh,
I
shit, we
know.
drove them up. Yeah, I think we could probably end soon for the night.
Yeah, I
Because
got
we're driving everybody off. You mentioned string theory, and everybody leaves the room. I don't know.
We got a nice
Quantum
guy.
field.
We didn't even get around to loop quantum gravity or some of the other fun alternatives too.
The fun shit.
All the fun shit.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
nothing
that's
like
good.
for a Bible study on an atheist channel.
Since you brought up
so-
string theory, do you think string theory will pan out? Like, I mean, it really hasn't. I know they use some of the mathematical or the math and stuff, and it's very useful. But as far as the rest of it, like, it really hasn't panned out in quite a long time.
They're
Time
still
will
working.
tell. It's
They're still
hard
working.
to say whether or not string theory is is a science that can be testable in the same way that like other fields of physics are testable.
Yeah, I thought there was something coming up like that they were going to be able to test. I can't remember what it was. I heard that mentioned recently, and I don't remember what it was.
It might be the case. I mean, the thing is, even if it's not successful for the time being, there's still a lot of effort being poured into it because it might be one of the only chances we have to develop a theory of everything.
I know, that's what I think too. I agree. It just seems like it has to pan out with something, but it just hasn't.
Whoa.
And,
the thing is, you just have to let those physicists keep refining it and keep playing with the theory enough. Until they find something that works with it.
Maybe they'll come up with something. Yeah.
Do you think Sal Cordova has the nerve to debate me on eukaryotic evolution on modern day debate?
I think he might do it if you offer a tag team with it.
Yeah.
Like me and you versus him and God knows who.
Maddox.
Oh, Jesus.
Nah, Maddox wouldn't add anything.
Don't do that.
Emery.
Emery. Okay, that'd be interesting. I was going to say Standing, but then I almost lost.
No, Standing would drive us off topic very badly, but Emery and Sal together might keep us on topic. Just eukaryotic evolution. So I don't know.
Has Emery done any debates ever? Or?
I don't think so.
I haven't either. So
yeah.
I haven't really. That shit I don't do couldn't be called debates, but I try.
Yeah.
Sometimes my heart just isn't in it, but I think for that, I think it might be good. I think it might be a really good show. I don't know. particularly
Has
if he's gonna, huh?
Has Sal blocked you from emails?
He's blocked me on everything. I mean, everything. I can't comment on his
man.
videos. Yeah,
Really?
I can't chat. I can't send him an email. I'm blocked like on everything. I think he maybe even found my phone number and blocked that. And I think he actually built a wall around wherever he lives, you know, and it's set up just to keep me out. He really has a problem with me.
You know, if he does agree to a debate with us, you're gonna have to be respectful.
Respectful? Oh yeah, I would be respectful with in a debate. I don't think I was disrespectful the last debate we had with even though Gavin was a real little bitch.
Yeah,
I don't think we didn't come after him, did we? We didn't say
no.
Absolutely
Wait,
not.
did Leo go after the fact that like he had when the hell was it? Like a chiropractic degree?
We didn't even go after
no, acupuncture or what, something like that.
Yeah, we didn't go after Gavin while he was dishing all that shit on us, and we didn't go after Praise. We had a nice conversation with Praise. So no, respect during debates, I think, is just what you do, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Gavin was definitely really bad in that debate. I remember that. That was a while ago, but
the thing is, Gavin is like very intent on his ego and like what he believes he knows.
Wasn't that weird what he did during our debate? You know, the shit he was saying, and it just seemed to come out of like left field. And Praise was even
he wouldn't answer questions because you weren't doctors and you were asking him questions about And it's just like, Gavin, you're not a doctor either. You're licensed to do
acupuncture.
Yeah, it's like, Gavin, you're licensed to do like acupunctural therapy, which is a field of like therapy that has never worked ever.
That's like a hairdresser. I mean, being trained as a hairdresser.
Well, no, it's less legitimate. Acupunctural therapy.
That was the comment I made to him when he was saying stuff like that. I've had some pretty good battles in side chat with him, and that was the comment I made. I said, "How long did it take you to get that degree? Was it 6 weeks or 8 weeks?" And you know, he's just. I think that man. I guess he's been in boxing or kickboxing or whatever, and he definitely has been hit in the head a few too many times because he. You know, I wonder about. Look at the way he behaves, like, him like not wearing pants during debates and stuff. I know. That. Like weird. That's some serious. I almost think the man almost has like a fantasy of being in porn or something. You know, there's something wrong there for sure.
Oh, he'd be a great porn star.
Because he knows what he's doing. He's obviously. He's done it multiple times. He's done that, and it spreads throughout the whole community. Everybody talks about it. So he's purposely doing it. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you did it once and then you made the mistake and it spread out all over the internet, a normal person wouldn't do it again, right?
Yeah.
But no, not necessarily. I mean, the thing is, right? When people found out about Gavin and his like apparently his marital problems, Gavin was very defensive about that too. I think the thing is, like, Gavin is very like self-absorbed. I think Gavin's one of those people who doesn't recognize the internet exists and that people remember things on the internet, and like what goes on the internet stays on the internet.
Yeah, you think that's it? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it happens with a lot of these creationists. It happened with Smokey too, because Smokey like had said that he was a particular person, and people were like, "Aha, got it." And when he pulled up like people that we thought were him, and he changed his tune to like, "Oh, well, that's not actually me. This is a different person than me," despite them having the same voice.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Gavin, he seems a little slow. He definitely has some problems. And one thing I know is, like I said, I really battle with him because he just gets on my nerves, and I've had many battles with him in side chat, and I've noticed probably in the past month or so he's really big on attacking people, you know, with their testosterone level, and you know, making those kind of you know, those type of comments or insults to people, insulting their manhood, and he all of a sudden he's like started
It's the
in
same
on that.
thing. It's the same thing that Maddox does. He thinks that attacking your manhood
Right.
is somehow going to like invalidate your argument, and I'm like,
I know, or
Yeah.
challenge you in some manner. You
Yeah.
know, your balls.
The-
Back
the
to
thing-
Cell Cordova for a minute. The thing
God.
about Cell Cordova is, unlike all the others like Maddox and Stanley, they say they don't listen to this channel, but they do.
They do.
But Cell Cordova, I think he legitimately refuses to listen to anything we do at all, even if we do it on him. Or, you know, even if we do it on, like I did that one really respectful stream where I just picked on his arguments, and I don't think he watched it at all. Because he would have come back with something if he had, because he's still spewing the same garbage. So I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I agree. I think he stopped. He certainly was watching all the time, but he definitely.
I don't understand. I mean, if it was that John Peterson, I think it was Emery Moyna talking in his ear that did it more than anything else. And I don't think it was from any firsthand experience that Cell had with me. I think it was pretty much him listening to Emery.
Yeah,
and
he is so sensitive. I mean,
He
really,
is.
what have you done really that is all that bad for him to go to the extremes that he's gone to block you like he has? I mean, you really haven't done anything that bad. You've
don't
gone
think
after
so.
his arguments, and
Yeah.
I don't know, that it seems really oversensitive to me. You know, he's
I think what
definitely.
it might be is the whole some of the things you say like over the top with
I always say over the top shit, but
yeah, but I think that's the issue. I mean, it's
well, I mean, fuck, you know, I can't help who I am. I mean,
yeah, but the thing is, you can't expect like to have respectful dialogue with people and also say that kind of shit. I mean, that's not going to work.
yeah, but what can I do about it? I mean, I've been like this my whole life. Something because my mom used to hit me on the head all the time. It didn't work.
Yeah, and if you want to have like respectful dialogue with people, don't make those comments.
Yeah, but that
Kind of simple.
implies
It's
I
almost
have like what? Okay, give me a comment in particular. Like
you know, don't call people like Slimy Sal, or don't call
well,
you know,
he is.
like people like con men.
Well,
You
but
know, those type of things.
but he is.
No,
there we go again. You see,
his commitment is different than yours.
his commitment is really different than mine.
Yeah, it doesn't make him a con man now.
Oh, but wait a minute, it does.
How so?
Just I've listened to enough Cell that I know what the fuck he's up to. You know, I know what kind of ministry he's putting together. I know where he's going and what he's doing, and I just can't stand by and just, you know, let that happen without commenting on it. Well, anyway, I started calling him Slimy Cell after he started fucking blocking me and censoring me. And that was when I, you know, and that is a slimy move. I mean, I put a comment in his video the other day. I said, Sal, you should really give credit to the people whose videos you put on your program. And he cut that out. He blocked that out. Another one I had, like, they were just innocent comments, and he kept deleting them. And I mean, I don't think that is anything but slimy. I don't know. I don't delete comments unless they're really, really over the top, you know, like sexual or fucking stupid or, you know, just pure shit. Even pure shit I allow. I mean, crazy. The comment section of the videos, I don't go out and delete those unless there's some porn star trying to fucking get free ads, you know, on my channel. I don't know.
I think the issue is. Oh, what's up?
Hey,
I just got banned from Praise's channel.
Oh, really?
I actually talked with Darth for the first time.
Hey,
cool.
I'm going to give you advice. Don't delete the porn bot things that comment on your post. At the size your channel is now, I wouldn't worry about it. It's right now it's positively affecting your algorithm. It's not hurting anything.
Oh, really? It does?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Once
that.
you get a little bigger and they start spamming your videos with it, then I'd start policing it. But for right now, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, just I don't know. It just seems kind of slimy. It's just, and hopefully nobody clicks on the goddamn links. You know. I don't know.
I don't think
seen-
anybody's who's out there's going to links in the YouTube comment section. for
Right.
Pornography.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a fair point.
Based on what the pornography is, I might check it out. I don't know.
Well, Google's been
Probably
deleting them Google deletes them for me after a few days anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah,
They've
but I
all-
mean, I think the fundamental aspect of this is Sal has stated multiple times that what he wants to do with his channel is very specific.
yeah,
he has
to children.
Well, he wants to raise up the next generation of
Young
of
Earth creation.
Bible thumping young Earth creationists, and that's hey, I don't agree with that. I think it's respectable though.
Can I ask you
I don't
something
think it's
about what you think
Go ahead.
about Sal?
What?
Do you think that he is sincere and thinks that that his goal is to help children, or do you think it's underhanded and he's lying to them and knowingly lying to them? Do you think he thinks he's right and that he's teaching them? Because I do think that Sal's one person that I look at this content he puts out, and I think that this guy really believes what he's telling these people.
I think he's lying to him about the science, and at some level he knows that he's lying to him about the science, but his overall goal is to bring him to Jesus, and that he is not lying about. So he's honest about that. But I think the method that he's using to mount this campaign is there are plans. Basically, he plans certain things, and
I think
it's deliberate manipulation.
My perspective regarding Sal is that it's hard for me to tell whether or not he is neglecting information willingly. At the very least, I think he is taking a very stringent view on a very limited set of data to reach the conclusions he wants. That he wants to reach and protect.
Did Sal sign? Does anybody know if he signed? What do they call those? The things for the faith that they won't.
Statement of faith.
Statement of faith. Yeah.
I don't know. If he was working for Hughes Macaulay, he might have had to. Yeah, Sanford. He might have had to when he signed on with AIG or.
Well, I think he was a private contractor though, and I don't think Sanford would have made him do that. So I don't know.
If he was involved with AIG, in any professional capacity, he might have had to.
Right.
They're just using him for citation, though. I mean, just to put his name on. That's what it's all about, right? Putting the name out there, saying this person agrees with this, and they're
right. But wouldn't the publishing journal also have to agree with that?
Yeah, I guess you got a point there.
I would say that I agree with you, Brian, Brainbug, that, and also with you, Speed, there's no question that Sal has got it planned. I mean, you look back at his history, I know very little about his history, but if you look back, he's been doing this way back, in his college days. He almost got thrown out of some universities. So some of the stuff that he was doing back then, okay, so obviously that was very questionable. And he had, an agenda. He had it planned. So, and then to your point, Brainbug, it's really hard to say. I agree with you. I think that there's certainly a lot of it he sincerely believes and believes in. But now it's such a slippery slope on how much of it does he believe? Are there certain things that he knows and he's intently, misleading? Probably, but probably most of it, or, a huge amount of it, he sincerely believes, and he believes he's doing the right thing, to promote his religion. But that's his agenda. I mean, no question.
Well, maybe if he has not seen what I said about the nuclear localization signal, because if he looked into the papers where I talked about that, he would know that what he's saying, and he keeps saying the same thing over and over. He said it again last night with Dr. Dan, and he keeps saying it over and over. If he's still saying that, even though he knows better, then something's up with that, right? I mean,
well, that comes to another point that I'm like very curious about, and that is, I'm very curious if Sal is selectively ignoring like particular bodies of information that directly refute his point, or if he's simply unaware of those data points.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It's
because that's the thing. Like, I'm not usually overly keen on saying a person is being deceptive.
Yeah,
because it could be like that they just aren't familiar with that particular research and that particular like source field, and in which case Sal would be like justified in making the claim that he is, even though he's wrong.
I'm probably wrong about him because I was warned about him by people, and after that warning, I became friends with him. And then he, all of a sudden he just started to, get kind of fucking weird with me. And I guess because of that, I have a bias, and I'm probably wrong about his intention. He probably does believe this shit. But in that case, he is extremely blinkered, and he's just not looking at the data. And that disturbs me also, that people can be that goddamn myopic about stuff, it just
here's the thing that concerns me regarding Sal, and that is the fact that Sal's a very intelligent person. I mean, he has a master's degree in physics or something like that.
That's what bothers me.
Well, but the thing that bothers me more is like where he really comes down on evolution and like the age of the Earth is this issue regarding abiogenesis, and I'm wondering.
Not just eukaryotic evolution too. So
well, that's part of abiogenesis. I mean,
not really. No, that's pretty far off. I mean, that's a couple billion years off.
Right, but eukaryotic life, eukaryogenesis, isn't related to archaea. Isn't related to archaea or prokarya. Right, so it is part of abiogenesis. It's just not as related as. Like, it's very distally related in comparison, like, to the origin of more simpler organisms.
Let me know if my printer is aggravating.
I would say it's more related to, like, the origin... Like, it's more distally related to the origin of other things, like the origin of, archaea and prokarya.
And then the other thing is in this case, he doesn't know how wrong he is. This thing about the common ancestor of proteins, I don't think he understands how fundamentally he's wrong he is about even presenting that stuff, because he does it so unabashed, just without any shame. So he must think very differently than me. So. Anyway, and I probably misjudged him based on that. I don't know. So I'm willing to believe I have the wrong impression of him right now.
What's? Oh, sorry.
Oh, or I was just gonna say I gotta head out for the night, but thanks for having me on and letting me share my thoughts on this discussion.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool presentation, and that sort of aroused a whole bunch of thinking on my part. But we'll talk more about it. So. Okay.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll see you.
All right. Take care, Andrew.
Yeah.
Later,
we're bleeding watchers like crazy. I mean, like a hemophilia.
Watch knock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to me, Sal is very concerned, like with topoisomerase proteins, which they're a very important protein when it comes to replication and things like that. But he's doing something very common. He's making a generalization fallacy. I think he's saying that because topoisomerase proteins are very like promiscuous. That's to say, like they're very like sensitive to change, or sensitive to change like within their sequence.
Actually, they're not. They're not.
Right, but that's
They're
his
not.
claim.
No, they're not.
Okay, but that's his claim.
Right. Histones are very, very sensitive to change, but isomerases are not. So
Well,
anyway.
he's saying that because like there's some protein which is promiscuous towards change, that means like that all proteins are like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And that if universal ancestry is true, then all proteins must have a common ancestor. But that can't be true if proteins are promiscuous to change, which that's functional redundant.
He's got it stuck in his head, but
this theme of the thing is though this theme of what's called functional redundancy occurs everywhere in molecular biology.
Yeah, there's some really cool things about the nuclear localization signals and redundancy that are worth exploring. But anyway,
honestly, I think 90% of what Sal does or discusses, I think he truly does believe. No question. And I think there's a certain to go to a percentage. I'm sure there's certain things that he willfully ignores, like you said, Speed. I think there are certain things that, that he, if it doesn't agree with his, his religion or his Bible or whatever his, what he's discussing, he doesn't, he willfully will ignore that. And I'm sure there are certain small things that is true. And then other things, I think that he probably knows that he has to twist things around or whatever, willfully to, do you call it deceive? I mean, he's probably, basically is what atheists do. The easiest person to fool is yourself. And that's what they do. Well, they're just fooling themselves, right?
The interesting thing is he'll agree with you. Oh yeah, the creationists got that wrong. They got this wrong. They got that wrong. And then all of a sudden he pulls one out. And it's almost like he's pulling you forward, and then he pushes you off the cliff. It's like he's leading you on, and then he just comes up with these zingers at the end, and it just I don't know if that's maybe that's just training in argumentation. I don't know. I'm not sure.
One thing, I mean, if we do eventually go through those videos or whatever. The stuff that I sent you, I mean, you can really read him. You read his body language, and it's so funny to just watch him.
The praise of the Lord stuff is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and for instance, he'll do a little short video on his stream. Do a little short video, and as soon as it ends, he's got this big grin on his face, and he smiles, and it's like, oh, did you see that? That's like just so amazing what God has accomplished.
What God has wrought.
Yeah, you just see it spewing from him. It's so, to me, I don't know. That's pure agenda right there. That's just, and that's right there. That's not science. That is not science right there.
I think actually his belief in God might be more tied to like his mother's own personal well-being as well, because he's talked about that publicly, how like his mother is not in the best of conditions and is probably very not in a stable place, let's put it that way. I maybe like his belief is at this point in time kind of more of like emotionally invested than it is.
That's what I said the other day. I said that he's completely emotionally invested, because look at what he did at this in the modern day debate. He broke down because it was a discussion. They talked about. I think they were talking about, does he is anybody that he knows that he's worried about that weren't saved or something along those lines. Basically, somehow I can't remember the exact content of the conversation. It was during that debate, and he started talking about that, and that he had people that he knew that he believed that weren't saved. You know, I guess he didn't specifically say, but I assumed it was family members or close people that he knew that he thought that went to hell. And he broke down, but he didn't come out fully say it. And he broke down in tears. So he is so emotionally invested in that. And he truly believes that. He believes that those people, whoever he was talking about, went to hell and are burning in hell. That's truly what he believes. And that's what his religion is doing to the man. I mean, it's torturing. It's truly torturing him, right? I mean,
yeah, that's a hell of a system. And the thing is too, I mean, there's not an out to it, because once you believe that, it's like, well, if I don't believe, then I'll go to hell. Oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
You know, essentially being a hostage to your own thoughts.
That's right. I feel bad for Christians. I mean, they have such a dark view of mankind and the world, and they're always talking about everything's, going down and down. It's getting worse and worse, and it's all going to end in this big apocalypse. It just seems like such a fucking dark way to live. I don't know. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Well, the universe in the long term is fucked, but it'll take a while to get there.
So Tangelo pointed out that Darth was very rude to you, Top Dog, and I pointed out that Otangelo is a good man because he calls it. He's honest when he sees something like that. Even though Darth probably means a great deal to him now, he's willing to take him on certain things. So, thank you, Otangelo.
Yeah, it was Jungle Jargon, and Gavin were backing him up.
Yeah, backing
Otangelo
or Darth.
Yeah.
They were backing Darth up.
Yeah, because I was just asking him if he was critically thinking, and then they're acting like I wasn't when I was asking the questions that were more clarifying. And then, well, I got to show you after the stream.
Okay,
unless you want to do it.
I want to end the stream anyway. Can we end, guys?
Yep,
we should probably end.
We're going to shoot it in the head. We'll see y'all later. Goodbye, cruel world.
Stay curious.
Yep.